All right, we are back into the little mini sessions here. Today, we're going to talk about presenting our options. So we've kind of gone through our role and purpose. We've gone through getting into the why, a lot of different aspects of not only dialing, but also running the appointment. And so really where I'm going to pick up on this one is right after we've dug into the why. We're asking them, hey, what are you looking for this coverage to do? Digging into that. And then we go, hey, great. I definitely can help you out with this.
Yeah, I'll send it to you.
And then from there, I kind of go in and go, hey, look, I have broker with over 40 different companies, and I'm going to walk you through some options here. I'm going to explain all of the benefits, and then I'm going to answer any of your questions. Once we're done with that, we'll go over pricing. And your role here is really just to pick the one that fits your needs and works with your budget. And when you do, I'll help you apply for it, and I'll work with the underwriters to make sure that you get approved. Now, at the end of this, we get to it, and you guys need to think about it. You need to pray on it, whatever that may be. If we get to that point, I've done this long enough to know that really just means we didn't find the right option or we didn't find the right place. So if you're in that, let me know. We're going to keep moving the numbers around. And a lot of times, what we're looking for is a place to start. We want to make sure we find some sort of coverage. You guys just told me we need it. So the good news is we can find a place to start that might be lower, and we can always look to add on in the future. So as you're looking at these options, just know that that's an option that we can do. Does that make sense? I've done a lot in that, right? I've set up expectations. I've kind of said, hey, if you're going to give me the think about it, I know why. And now they're saying that, by the way, that like, hey, you give me the think about it, and there's backing it up after you've given the options, and we're going to get to that in a minute. We've also given them permission to do what? Pick the lower one. Because everyone sees if they got a $300,000 mortgage, our brain goes, I need 300,000. I want 300,000. But what we've done is we said, hey, we also know this needs to fit your budget. And hey, we're looking for a place to start, and it's okay. We can add on down the road. So we're just kind of moving them a little bit psychologically to kind of go, hey, you need something. I mean, how many times have you guys had an appointment? Well, I can't get the whole thing covered. I don't want anything. I've had that happen to me many times, and which is just foolish in my brain, but is what it is. So there's a lot of things that I say right there before I get into the numbers to try to deflect anything that I have experienced that's coming. So remember, if you get to the end of this and you're getting objections, you're getting to think about, you're getting different things, what can I say here to eliminate this even happening? Kind of we do that in the role and purpose. We kind of talked about, we want to lay out the role and purpose and all the details in there to avoid any think about it, to avoid questions in their brains. The goal is to answer as many questions as we possibly can before they're asked. That's the big piece of going into this. So I'm going to do that. And then guys, I'm going to do a big push here, but get these appointments on Zoom. You will have a better show ratio and you will close a lot more sales. I've talked to a lot of agents and they've been like, yeah, I've been lazy. And some of you on here might be like, yeah, you talked to me. I was like, no, I talked to a lot of you. And it is getting them on a Zoom is going to be a couple things. One, it's going to be intentional, right? They've got to be at least on their phone. You can see their body language. You may not get as many appointments, but you'll close more. And just don't give them an option. Hey, I do everything on Zoom. Hey, if I send you a link, can you click on it? So because the next part of my presentation is I'm going to show you how I present on Zoom, exactly how I do it. But I just want to encourage you, get those appointments on Zoom. We kind of talked about that a little bit. We were setting appointments, but you're going to have a higher show ratio and you will have a higher close ratio. So once I've told them everything about the think about it, explain the options, this is literally what I do is I share my screen and I just put a little text box in here. I go, hey, the company I found for you, and I can type and talk sometimes, is American Amicable. This is actually a 30-year option, meaning the cost won't change and the coverage won't change for 30 years. I use American Amicable because they're actually one of the best carriers that I have. They have some of the best pricing that's out there, and they actually have some of the best customer service out of any of our carriers, and we can get stuff done for you. So I love this company. We work with them really well, and they've been around for 113 years. All right, option number one, your guys' mortgage is a $300,000 mortgage. So option number one, it's going to be a 30-year plan for $300,000. Now, all of the options that I'm going to show you are going to have if it covers in case of a health or an accident. But you're going to see some of these other options. There's going to have a little bit of extra coverage on there to really find that price point that's friendly. So option number two is actually going to have $200,000 of coverage if anything happens to you, whether it's health or accidents. But in this one, I actually added in an extra $100,000 of accidental death benefit. So in this case, if you die for any reason, the $200,000 pays out. But if the doctors deem it, if it is an accident, it would actually be the full $300,000. But you'll see that this one is a little bit less expensive. And then option number three, I'm going to go down even further because I want to find what fits your budget. It's $100,000 if anything happens to you. And on this one, I kind of switched it around. I added on $200,000 of accidental death benefit on this. So again, if it's an accident, it's the full $300,000. And the reason I do this is it's going to be a little bit less expensive doing this. And I also know that we never see an accident coming. Health, we do have a chance. Health can deteriorate. Things can happen. You can plan better, but we'll never see an accident coming. So these are great options. And also know on options 2 and options 3, option 1 assumes you're going to die tomorrow, and we just don't know. But if you did with option number 1, if you passed away tomorrow, we got the whole thing paid off. But with option number 2, if it's health related, we know that if you pass away 10 years from now, you're only going to owe $200,000 on the mortgage. So that actually might fit. But again, we're trying to plan for the worst and hope for the best. And even option number 3, if you passed away tomorrow, I think you guys would agree that $100,000 is going to go a long way. But if you passed away 15, 20 years from now, you're only going to owe $100,000. It would cover it. But that last option is going to be the most affordable one. There's a few other things that come included with this, and I don't want to put these down here for you guys. The first one is terminal illness. This is a really great option in a really terrible situation. But if you go to the doctor and they go, hey, we found something, and you've got 12 months or less left to live, this is going to allow you to get full access to this main death benefit, the 300, the 200, or the 100. We also have on here is chronic illness. Chronic illness basically says if you can't perform 2 out of the 6 daily tasks, like going to the bathroom, moving around, taking your medicine, getting dressed, eating, bathing, things like that, it's going to give you access again to this main death benefit part to pay for that kind of care. And the last one is actually confined care. This means if you have to go into like a nursing facility or some sort of care facility, you can't have the help at home. You really need that extra level. Again, you have access to those the full amount of the death benefit on these main options. Now, I know that's a lot of information. Before I get into pricing, is there any questions that you have about any of these? And I'm going to sit there and just, what do we do when we ask a question? We shut up. Yeah. And honestly, usually if I went a little bit faster than I normally do just for the sake of training, but this is where you slow down, right? I am adding a story to every one of these. Hey, if this one assumes you're going to die tomorrow, right? This one, hey, if you die 10 years from now. This one, if you die tomorrow, 100,000 is still a lot, but if you die 20 years from now, we got it covered. We don't know. So again, we don't know, right? I'm just describing scenarios. I'm just trying to get their brain to think, oh, well, wait a minute. Well, if I can't afford this, then man, this is sure better than nothing. And so I'm letting them soak in, and I just dumped 3 massive things on their plate. And I said, hey, any questions about any of this? And I'm going to wait, I'm going to wait, I'm going to wait, I'm going to wait. And they go, nope, I think we got it all figured out. I said, okay, how do you like these options before I get into the price? I really like them. I said, well, which one would you lean towards? The top one. I said, okay, the top one. I said, now it's going to be the most expensive, right? But would you agree that even maybe the bottom one would work? Like, yeah, it would definitely work. I said, okay, I'm gonna show you guys. Let me type in the prices here, and let me know which ones works, and I'll help you guys apply for it. Now I'm going to show you the pricing, assuming I'm just doing it on one of them, and then I'm going to show you example number 2 as if we're doing it on 2. So, hey, option number 1, This one's $151.34 a month. Option number 2 is, I literally wrote these down. This is how I would do it because I literally look at my notes, $99.97 a month. And then option number 3, like I said, this is going to be the most affordable one. This one is $48.62 a month. So now that you guys see the pricing on this, which one of these is the most comfortable for you, or do we need to go a little bit lower? But do you see how I already started, I gave them permission to go lower. I'm always asking, hey, now that you've seen the pricing, which ones? They always like the top one, but hey, now that you've seen the pricing on this, which one's really comfortable? Who here knows 80% of the time, which one are they going to pick? Now it's the middle one. Number 2, they're going to pick the middle one almost 80%. If we do that right, they're going to go with the middle one almost 80% of the time. And so I'm going to go, yeah, we like that middle one. Okay, great. Let's say they're going to say, yeah, we really like that second one. I said, okay, I really like that one too. Let me ask you a quick question. Knowing that you have that coverage in place, is that going to give you the peace of mind that you're looking for? I'm going to get that nod, get that yes. And I said, okay, that $99.97 a month, is that comfortable for your budget? If you blow out a tire on your way home from work and you got to go spend $300 for 2 new tires, is that $99.97 still comfortable? You know what I just did right there? I'm going to keep that policy on the books, is what I did. Because I didn't used to do this, and I could crush these things left and right. And then 3 months later, 4 months later, they're falling off on me. I stopped down and I said, hey, is this comfortable? And most of the time it is, but every now and then I'm going to hear a little bit of, I'm not really sure. And I said, hey, thank you for letting me know. What about this bottom option? Is that super comfortable? Like, yeah, that's super comfortable. I said, let's start there then. And I can listen, I know this is twice as much, but I want a policy that stays on the books. I want to help these people. Every now and then they're like, man, I'm not sure between option number 2 or option number 3. I said, okay, option number 2 is too expensive. Option number 3 is just not enough coverage. I have my quota up and I go, hey, can I show you one more thing? What if we split the difference? What if we did something like this? And I'm going to have to do some quick quotes, right? And I said, hey, let me do this. What do you think about this? And this is $75, $78 a month. How does that look for coverage and for price? Oh my gosh, Marty, that's perfect. Right? I've kept the conversation going. I have sold a ton of these. And I've sold a ton of these and they've fallen off. And if they're comfortable, like, oh yeah, 99.97, that's not a problem. Great, I'm moving forward. But if they're like, no, hey, we've got to start here. They know that I care. We know we're keeping the policies on the books. And then so if I'm doing this virtually, if I'm doing this over Zoom, which again, I'm just going to really, really hammer and highly recommend, I'm going to stop sharing here. And I would already have it up, but I'm going to literally have the e-app up. And I'm telling you, talk about speed of trust. Like, it's a big deal of what we're doing in here. I'm going to have the e-app up and ready to go, hey guys, great. I'm going to share my screen. I want you guys to walk along with me so you can see this. And so I'm going to go in here and I'm going to literally be walking them through, an app. So they're going to see me do I want them to see me do all of this, right? Open. And I go, hey, great. I got your first name here. What's your middle initial? And they're going to see me do everything in here. Hey, make sure to follow along with me. Make sure I don't mistype anything. You're also going to get a chance to review this when I send it to you. But think of the speed of trust. They're literally watching me log in and fill this out. It's huge. It's huge. I know it's so much easier to sit here with a hat and a sweater on and do it over the phone. It is so much easier, but you will make a whole lot more money doing it over Zooms. I've sold a lot of them over the phone, a ton. I've sold way more over Zoom. My last full year of doing it virtually, almost all of them over Zooms. 250,000 submitted, 80, it was like 83% issued. So you can do this. It's harder over the phone. It's harder to do it over the phone. It's harder to get them on a Zoom appointment, but it is worth it because think about all that stuff that they're seeing. We have their attention. If they're on the phone, they might be writing it down. So that's how I do. That's how I do one. I'm going to do one real quick, and I'm trying to fly through these just for the sake of our time. So this is all. I'm going to show you guys CPC. So that's just your standard mortgage protection, right? I'm going to show you how I do CPC. It's going to be almost the same, American Amicable. Maybe it's Mutual of Omaha. But this is American Amicable. The good news about this policy is it never expires. And so I'm going to show you guys a couple different amounts of time. I've already worked them into CPC. I've already kind of done that approach in the why and uncovering all that. And I go, hey, option number one is going to have enough money in it to cover that mortgage payment for, you have 24 months of mortgage payments. I literally typed this out. But the other thing that I added on here for you guys, because you qualify for it, is we can actually cover that whole mortgage if it's an accidental death. And then, which I've actually learned because I hate typing stuff, I just a little copy and paste. And then, hey, option number two, I'm going to do these. This one is actually going to be 12 months of mortgage payments. And option number three, we're going to have 6 months of mortgage payments in here. Now, the 12, and I kind of go into, hey, the 24 months of mortgage payments is if anything happens to you. If it's an accident or health related, the worst thing that's possibly going to happen is you're leaving your loved ones with 2 years to figure out the mortgage.
That's kind of like what we did yesterday.
Yes, I don't know if that was to me or not. But then if it is an accidental death, we don't see it coming. Not only are they going to have 2 years worth of mortgage payments, but they're actually going to have the full $175,000 to pay off your mortgage. Now, there's a couple things that come included with this, and do the terminal illness, and it's confined care. This one does not have chronic illness in it. I'm going to explain those. I'm not going to do it again for the sake of speed. And then guess what? Hey, any questions about this before I get into pricing? Hey, which one of these do you think works best? Here's what might happen. You go, we don't really need accidental, right? So I have in my notes, I literally wrote these down. I have with accidental and without written down, because they're gonna guide me. It's like, we already have accidental. We're not interested in that garbage. I don't know. They might say that, right? I'm ready to go, hey, okay, I was just giving you all the options you have. I'm ready to zero that out. I have with and without totals ready, because they're going to guide me. I'm not going to show them something they don't want, but I'm also going to show them everything that they qualify for in this. And so I'm just going to say they said yes. I'm going to go, hey, option. I mean, again, it's the same thing, right? I'm going to do same deal, $238. And I've just totaled. What I've done here is I've actually combined American Amicable and Mutual of Omaha together. I'll explain the Mutual of Omaha is a separate app afterwards. I don't want to confuse them. I want to show them one plan, keep it simple, because it's going to come down to what fits their budget. So, but this is literally how I would present every one of these. And I do 24 months of mortgage payments, 12 months of mortgage. I spell it out for them. I want them to see it. I want them to understand it. I want to keep that space for answering any questions on it. And then again, I'm going to go, as I'm explaining these, I go, hey, this is just a top end. I don't know if you guys need this much time, but you qualify for it. You know, hey, here's 12 months, 6 months. And hey, guys, I can do anything in between. These are just some ideas. Which one of these do you like? And then again, now that you've seen the cost, which one of these are the most comfortable for you guys? Where's a place that we can start? Right? That's what we're asking. Where's a place that we can start? We can always add on.
Hey, Marty, what kind of policy is that?
This is like an American Amicable Dignity Solutions. So this is particularly for mortgage protection. So technically, like, let's just say this option, this one might, if their mortgage was, if their mortgage was $1,000 a month, this would actually just be, it's just a $12,000 policy. It would actually look like this, because their mortgage payments $1,000 a month. This is a Dignity Solution whole life policy that has $12,000 in it. What I'm doing,
so you just ask them like what their monthly payment is,
right?
And then you, okay.
Yep. And there's CPC training that we didn't do ahead of this. I'm just kind of showing you how I would present it, literally the visual presentation of it. But this is the monetary amount behind it. But with this, and they'll ask me, like, well, how much is in this policy? I said, well, your mortgage payment's $1,000, so this is $12,000. And what we're doing is we're putting a little bit of a practicality to what $12,000 can do. I was like, hey, this is going to take stress off of your spouse for a year for the mortgage. Usually it's people's biggest debt, but I want to put it in more of the concept of time in there, because 12,000 doesn't really look great, right? Let's be honest. But the realization is it's 12 months of mortgage payments, right? And so that's where we, and this is, you know what, they're going to tell us we're not sure what we want to do with the mortgage. I want to stay, I want to sell. Well, they're 75 and had a heart attack 2 years ago. We can't cover the whole mortgage. Can't do it. Actually, if they're 75, we couldn't even do this portion. But we're showing them what we can do to try to give them peace of mind that fits their budget. That's the goal here. So, but that is the biggest thing in presenting these options is I'm giving them permission to go lower. I'm building out stories of what each option would do. And I'm also going, hey, now that you've seen what these do, now that you know what they cost, which one is the best for you? And I already told them once they pick it, we're going to fill it out, right? So I've just kind of walked them through that process. All right. That took me 20 minutes to fly through. I hope it wasn't too boring. All right, now it's time for questions. And again, I try to rein you guys in for these micro training. Questions on presenting, leading up to options, maybe obstacles you'll run into or questions you get. I want to take a few minutes here to answer any maybe detailed questions as you're presenting.
I have one. I just want to make sure for the terminal, chronic, and confined care those are built into that 30-year term that you went over, and you said they are full payout on the death benefit for those, or
they are. So terminal illness and the agent guides are really great for super details, but terminal illness with American Amicable, it'll be 100% payout. I always say you get access to that money. It's because I don't want to get into the details with the clients because they're going to get their eyes are going to glaze over. But I know some of y'all know this better than me, but like for confined care, it's like 2.5% of the death benefit each month, not exceeding $3,000. I'm not going to get into those details, but I'm going to tell them they have access to that money to pay for those confined care costs.
Okay.
Those details are in the agent's guide, but that is not something that, yes, keep it simple, stupid.
Okay.
Yeah, they accelerate the death benefit to you. I don't want to lie to them. It's not a deceiving thing, but I can promise you, getting into those details, they're gonna be like, what was that again? And now all they're doing is they're focused on, wait, 2.5%. Why is it capped at $3,000? I don't know. You should care either. That's like, these are free add-ons. Like, so yes, keep it simple. So, but I don't ever want to lie to them, right? I say, hey, you have access to it. But it is good to know, Tiffany, for sure. It's good to know, but who was I talking to? I was talking to someone. They had all this product knowledge and they just wanted to dump it on the clients. And I'm like, maybe it was Brittany, you ain't the only one. But I was like, you know too much. They don't care. They don't care how much you know. They want to know how much you care, right? So that's a good question though, Tiffany. I like it. All right, what else do we got?
Isn't there a whole life policy that has the death benefit already included?
Say that first part again.
Isn't there like a life policy or a whole life policy that has a death benefit already included?
What death benefit included?
Are you saying living benefits are already included?
Yeah, that's what I meant.
In most of them, they are.
Yeah, there's usually in most of the stuff that we have, there's some kind of living benefits. Like SBLI is our instant decision, term. It has terminal illness included in it. But if you go the God forbidden fully underwritten route, there's nothing included. It only covers if you die. Right. And that would be called, I always call that death insurance, right? Because it's like, what if you die? Like, it's always ironic, right? We call it life insurance. But I always go, hey, what if you live? Right? What is the stat? I think it's like 58% of foreclosures are due to medical bills. And that's usually because you lived, not because you died. It's way less expensive to die than to live and be super unhealthy. But that's why, our living benefits, I don't think she's on here. I'm just going to use her as a quick example because she's brand new, but Portia out in California had a $8,200 a month mortgage payment for this lady that's 75 years old. Like, that is very hard to do a CPC on and super expensive. And she just kept the conversation going, and she loved the fact that she could pay $320 a month to have that confined care of $35,000 on the rider. Like, our living benefits that are on these products are huge and people use them a lot. So knowing those and understanding the power behind them is very, very important what we do. That's why I like to go through them, and when I get to the bottom, explain them.
while you're setting the appointment, are you just pushing Zoom, or are you giving them like a split option? Are you saying like, would you guys like to be on the phone during this call or on Zoom?
So that's a good one, Zane. If you give them the option for phone, I will bet you $1 million they'll take the phone call every time. But if you go like this, hey, I just need a little 10 or 15-minute window to meet with you guys virtually. I do all of my meetings over Zoom. Zane, are you comfortable, pretty familiar with Zoom?
Yeah.
Yeah, great. I'm just gonna, let me get an email from you so I can send over the link. Even if they say no, which everyone, I mean, like, that's rare. Don't talk to me about the one, feel like, oh, no one wants to do Zoom meetings. I'm like, no, you had like 2. It's not everybody. But I've also go, hey, if I send you a link, can you click on it, be in front of your computer so you can see, because I really want to show you all the options just so you fully understand what you're looking at. Oh yeah, I can do that. And some of the veterans on it, we've already been there. We cannot get someone on a Zoom meeting. Path of least resistance. If that meeting is like, I can't figure it out, my audio's not working. Hey, you know what? Let me give you a phone call. I can't tell you how many Zoom meetings I've done where I'm on the phone with them, but they can't get their audio, but they can see me. Because I want them, the biggest thing, I want them to see me as I'm typing up the options, as I'm doing the application. But just don't give them the phone call.
Marty, can I say something?
Yeah, Barbara Joe.
I actually had a client that was like, can you FaceTime me quickly and just go over it? And I was like, oh yeah, because they didn't know how to do Zoom. They wanted to see what I was doing. I just was like, yeah, this is awesome.
Yes.
And it really was awesome to just FaceTime instead. So yeah, it worked.
Bingo. Yes. And I really, like, if they're interested, they should want to see this, right? Like, I love the visual. A lot of you, if you're not comfortable typing, like, have it in a Word document ahead of time typed out and just copy and paste it. You can copy and paste. I like to type it and talk about them one at a time because I have their attention, but I've also done this a lot, so I'm more comfortable doing that. If you're not comfortable doing it, have a Word document, copy and paste that sucker over, just don't have the pricing in it. You can have all that stuff that I typed out, boom, boom, or you can copy and paste one at a time, right? So you don't have to worry about typing and talking. I mean, some of us can't walk and chew gum at the same time, so I'm gonna lower the button.
Is there any kind of a PowerPoint template anywhere to use for this as well, or can you just
yeah, I mean, Symmetry has power. They have the whole PowerPoint that you can walk people through. I found it wildly distracting. We use the PowerPoints and just struggled because we just weren't. I mean, there are some people that can use them, but I just want to have a conversation with people. Now I have some people that, especially on a Zoom meeting, here's the great thing. You guys won't be able to see what I'm doing, but I can have the Zoom on one side of my screen. I could have my script on the other side and just read the sucker. We used to do that in home, by the way, where I'd have a piece of paper out like underneath my keyboard and I would just be like making sure I stayed on script while I'm in front of people. Now you can do it. They can't even see what you're doing. So have the Zoom on one half of your screen, have the script on the other. I'm telling you, this is almost foolproof. Right? You should have it up there. You should have it as a guideline. I mean, we have all of this stuff here. If you haven't written out the script yourself or practiced it, hey, what are you doing? But that's the beautiful part of what we have. I used to have to do that in front of people and like hide it, like cover it so they couldn't see me reading the script. It's like cheating on a test, like a little sticky note on my leg. So I had like, my name is Marty, oh yeah, good. I got that down. But use that. Yeah. All right.
I had another quick question too, as far as the difference in the presentations between the standard and the CPC calculation. Do you have that? You have those conversations up front, right? Is there a significant other? Are they working? How would they be impacted? And, what kind of loss of income might there be? So you use that to build that CPC. Do you determine that before the appointment, or you do that as a backup plan within the appointment?
I'm determining that before, and it's usually just because they don't qualify for full coverage. The worst case scenario of a client would be a healthy, like strong quotation marks, and you guys see me, a healthy 60-year-old. It's like, well, I know term is going to be very hard to get. Like, even if they're, again, healthy, it's going to be pretty darn expensive to try to get a $300,000, $450,000 term on a 60-year-old. So it's expensive and it's statistically going to be hard to qualify for. So I'm going to lean more towards going the CPC route and just covering that mortgage for a period of time. But it's right before I get digging into the why. The questions that I ask are, hey, can you share with me the plans that you have for the house when your loved one dies? And you will get one of 3 answers. I don't know, I want to stay, or I'm going to sell it. here's the beautiful part. I mean, we've really made this foolproof. No matter what they say, it goes, well, it sounds like to me you need time. You need time to figure out how to stay. You need time to figure out if you want to stay, or you need to figure out time to move. So the CPC falls in there. Now, listen, if they qualify, they really want it. I mean, there's some big stuff out there, but statistically, it's going to be really hard to get them covered or too expensive to get them covered. So I would do that before I go into the options, but I've determined that before I go into the appointment.
Yeah. And you combine that, I guess, with their budget too to kind of help.
Yeah, exactly. And that's where the accidental have, if they're under the age of 70, having that mutual accidental, like, hey, I can cover the full mortgage if it's an accident. And I'll say, like, I might tell the wife, or I might tell the husband, like, hey, do you live in a 2-story house? They're like, yeah, why? And I said, well, don't let your wife push you down the stairs. We put this accidental on you. It always gets a chuckle from the wife, not the husband. So yeah. All right, we got time for one more. What do we got? Everybody's got it figured out. Love it. Well, listen, I don't have it figured out. Listen, I'm doing these fast and micro, right? And I'm loading these all onto my YouTube channel so you guys have them. Here, I'm gonna stop recording for all this part.